Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Coin number 1. The United States Lincoln penny from the year 1963, struck at the Denver Mint with the tiny D mint mark, might look ordinary at first glance, but hidden beneath its simple copper surface lies history, mystery, and surprising rarity that coin lovers often overlook. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully, because this story is far more exciting than the size of the coin might suggest. Before we even talk about rarity or value, understand the world this coin was born into. The year 1963 was the final era of the 95% copper Lincoln cents. These coins carry the warmth of genuine metal, the weight of an earlier America, and the craftsmanship of the long-running wheat to memorial cent evolution. Even though the coin features the memorial reverse instead of the classic wheat design, it still carries the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, a portrait that had already survived more than half a century of circulation by the time this penny was minted. Millions were produced, that much is true, but rarity in the world of coins has little to do with how many were made. The real magic begins when we talk about survival quality, errors the mint never intended, and the microscopic details collectors hunt for like treasure seekers following clues. And the 1963 D penny is a perfect example. While anyone can find a worn, heavily circulated coin, only a tiny fraction survived with sharp, flawless detail. Most left the mint, entered pockets, rattled in jars, scraped through cash registers, and lost their brilliance. Finding one today in pristine condition is a challenge, and that challenge is what fuels collectors' desire. Now let's talk about the real excitement, the errors. These are the beauties that turn an everyday cent into a rare and expensive piece of numismatic history. One of the most fascinating is the famous doubled die varieties found on the date, the word Liberty, and occasionally the inscriptions around the rim. These errors happen when the die receives an imperfect impression, causing the letters to appear doubled under magnification. Collectors love these because they represent a moment when the mint machinery slipped, creating a coin that was never supposed to exist. Another thrilling variety is the repunched mint mark, where the D mint mark shows traces of an earlier strike, small but clear when viewed closely. There are also off-center strikes, where the design shifts to one side, creating an incomplete but stunningly unique appearance. Broad strikes and die cracks also add character and value, especially when they stretch across Lincoln's portrait or the memorial building. Every one of these mint errors tells a story, and collectors don't just see mistakes, they see fingerprints of a minting process that was powerful, mechanical, and far from perfect. The more sharply detailed the coin, the brighter the luster, the fewer the marks, the more desirable it becomes. A 1963 D penny with blazing red original copper shine can catch the eyes of collectors instantly. People underestimate the beauty of a well-preserved cent until they see one glowing like a miniature sun in the palm of a hand. And that glow alone is enough to drive competition in auctions. So when you find one of these pennies, don't rush to spend it or toss it in a drawer. Look closely. Study the surfaces, search for doubling, hunt for repunched mint marks, and pay attention to the edges for off-center strikes. A coin that looks ordinary may actually be hiding extraordinary secrets. And in the world of collecting, patience and observation are your most powerful tools. And now, what about value? After all, every treasure hunter wants to know what their discovery could be worth in today's market. Here is where things become exciting. A regular circulated coin is modest, but high-grade uncirculated examples can reach surprising heights. Error coins, especially strong double dies or dramatic off-center strikes, have sold for impressive figures among collectors who love rare varieties. The latest real market prices and auction values show that top-graded red examples have reached over $100, and dramatic errors have gone for several hundreds of dollars. Coin number 2. We are stepping into the world of one of the most talked about vintage coins of American history, the United States Lincoln penny 1968 D 1-cent coin. A small copper coin that most people ignored in their pocket change, yet collectors today are hunting for it with excitement, hoping to find that one rare piece that hides a fortune in plain sight. So if you are a coin lover, sit back, relax, focus, because this journey into the 1968 D penny will keep you listening till the very last second. The year 1968 was a special time for U.S. minting. After switching from the Philadelphia Mint to strengthening production in Denver, billions of pennies were struck, but not all pennies were equal. Many were ordinary, but a few special pieces came out with mint-made surprises that collectors now dream to own. The 1968 D penny may look simple at a glance, with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but when you look closely, the real magic begins. This coin carries a story of rarity, errors, minting imperfections, small variations, and the thrill of treasure hunting. Collectors admire this coin mainly for its early post-silver era copper composition. These cents were made of 95% copper, giving them a richer color and deeper tone than modern pennies. Over years of circulation, many have worn down, lost their shine, and disappeared into piggy banks and junk drawers. But some rare survivors remain in exceptional condition, and those are the pieces that command real value today. Every collector knows one thing: condition is king. A sharp strike, glowing luster, minimal scratches, strong details in Lincoln's beard and coat, clean lettering "In God We Trust." These details mean everything, but rarity does not end with condition. What truly excites collectors are the mint errors of the 1968 D penny. And this coin has several fascinating varieties that can transform a common cent into a high-value collectible. One of the most famous is the doubled die obverse. When the date, letters, or Lincoln's profile appear doubled, collectors go wild, because such coins are incredibly scarce. Another prized error is the off-center strike, where the design is printed off balance, sometimes leaving a blank crescent of copper on the coin. The more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the penny becomes. Then there are clipped planchet errors, created when the blank metal sheet was miscut. These coins appear as if a bite has been taken out of the edge. Many collectors love these because each clipped planchet is unique. Another interesting variety is the die crack or die break penny, where a fine raised line appears due to a damaged die. Each crack forms its own pattern, sometimes crossing Lincoln's face or running across the memorial on the reverse. These strange natural birthmarks of mint machinery make the coin even more collectible. The 1968 D penny also has rare high-grade specimens certified by professional grading services. Because millions of these coins were heavily circulated, finding one today in stunning mint state condition is extremely hard. And that difficulty is what drives value. A bright red MS-65 or MS-66 example from Denver is considered a treasure for any collector's album. Collectors enjoy this coin not only for its monetary potential but for the history frozen within it. Imagine holding a small piece of copper that traveled through the pockets of Americans during a changing era, from the late 60s through decades of economic transitions. This coin carries stories of the past, yet its future in the collector market keeps getting stronger. People who pay attention to small details end up discovering big surprises in the coin world. So keep your eyes open. That old penny in your drawer might be worth more than you think. Always check for doubling, check the edges, inspect the strike, observe the shine, and don't forget to look for those tiny imperfections that make the heart of a coin collector beat faster. And now we reach the part everyone waits for: the real market value and auction figures of the rare Lincoln penny 1968 D. In the collector market, a high-grade example has sold for several $100s in auctions, while rare varieties and errors such as doubled dies or major off-center strikes have reached values of thousands of dollars depending on condition. Coin number 3. We begin a deep journey into the world of a coin that many people overlook, yet experienced collectors pay great attention to. The United States Lincoln Penny 1962 D 1-cent coin may appear like a simple copper cent from the early 60s, but hidden inside this small round piece of metal are stories of rarity, minting mistakes, unusual varieties, and the thrill of finding a treasure where others see nothing. If you love coins, stay focused and enjoy every word, because this story will keep your mind locked in for the full ride. In the year 1962, America was experiencing major changes. The space race was rising, everyday life was transforming, and while these things were happening, billions of pennies were being struck at the Denver Mint. But even though the mint produced a massive number of coins, only a very small percentage today hold real collectible power. What makes the 1962 penny so interesting is not the quantity, but the special qualities hidden within certain pieces. Collectors admire the copper shine of these early 60s cents. They were struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, giving them a warm tone that modern pennies no longer have. Many coins lost this shine over time, but a few high-grade examples survived with their brilliant red glow intact. These high-quality survivors are the pieces collectors chase because they are incredibly hard to find today. Imagine a coin that has traveled through 60 years of pockets, drawers, counters, wallets, shops, and yet remains as fresh as the day it was minted. That rarity alone gives it power, but the true excitement begins when you explore the mint errors and varieties that make some 1962 pennies extremely valuable. These errors didn't happen by design. They were accidents of the minting process, and every accident is unique. One of the most desired varieties is the doubled die. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly, creating double details on the date, motto, or lettering. When collectors spot doubling on a 1962 penny, they know they have something very special. Even a light, subtle doubling can attract serious attention. Another valuable error is the repunched mint mark, known as RPM. Back then, mint marks were hand-punched, which means a worker physically struck the tiny D onto the die. Sometimes the mint mark was applied twice, slightly overlapping. These small shifts create a repunched D mint mark, and collectors absolutely love these varieties. In some RPMs, the original D appears north, south, east, or west of the main punch. Each one tells a story of how the die was handled at the mint. Off-center strikes are another treasure. When the coin fails to align perfectly between the dies, the design shifts to one side, leaving a blank crescent area on the coin. A light off-center strike may be interesting, but a dramatic 10, 20, or 30% off-center example becomes a rare collectible. The stranger the strike, the more remarkable the coin becomes. Clipped planchets also add beauty to the 1962 penny world. These errors occur when the sheet of metal used to cut blanks overlaps or misfeeds, chopping out a coin with a crescent bite missing. These clipped coins are eye-catching and instantly recognizable. Collectors enjoy them because each one is genuinely one of a kind. No two are exactly alike, and the more dramatic the clip, the more people want it. Die cracks and die breaks also make the 1962 penny exciting. Over time, the mint dies wear out, forming cracks. These cracks leave raised lines across the coin. Sometimes they appear like lightning bolts across Lincoln's face, sometimes like long lines stretching across the memorial building on the reverse. These cracks can form shapes that collectors enjoy identifying and naming. Then there are high-grade mint state examples. Because the 1962 penny circulated heavily, most surviving pieces show wear, scratches, fading color, and weak details. But when a coin appears in a brilliant red mint state 65 or 66 grade, it becomes a rarity. These pieces shine like fresh copper sunlight and attract strong attention at auctions. Collectors admire the 1962 penny because it represents a time when craftsmanship, metal quality, and hand-punched mint marks all combine to create a mix of beauty and unpredictability. Every collector knows that searching older pennies can lead to magical discoveries, and the 1962 is one of the best examples of that treasure hunt excitement. A simple coin that many ignore can turn out to be a surprising reward. Now we arrive at the part that collectors wait for most, the real market value and auction results of rare and high-grade 1962 pennies. In today's market, top-graded mint state examples have sold for amounts reaching into the hundreds of dollars, while rare error varieties such as doubled dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and dramatic clips have sold for prices ranging from hundreds to even thousands of dollars in major auctions depending on the intensity of the error and the condition of the coin. Coin number 4. We are stepping into the fascinating world of the United States Lincoln Penny 1980 1-cent coin, a coin that millions of people have touched, yet very few truly understand. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary penny from the early 80s, simple, lightweight and small. But once you take a closer look, once you start paying attention to the tiny imperfections and variations created inside the mint, you begin to see something much more special. This little copper-coated coin, minted at Denver, carries a universe of stories inside it, stories that make collectors stop, stare, and imagine the possibilities hiding behind every detail. So if you're a coin lover, sit tight, turn up the focus, and listen carefully, because today's journey into the 1980 penny world is about to pull you in deeply. The year 1980 was a turning point for U.S. coinage. The economy was shifting, inflation was rising, and the mint was working at high speed to keep enough coins in circulation. Because of this high demand, the Denver Mint struck an enormous number of pennies. But with fast production comes the possibility of mistakes, and collectors know that mistakes are where value is born. The 1980 penny was made with a copper-plated zinc composition, a change from the traditional solid copper pennies of earlier decades. That thin copper layer creates a shiny surface, but it also creates a sensitive coin prone to unusual mint errors if something goes wrong during the striking process. Collectors love studying this penny because although it is common in circulation, the rare high-grade examples and dramatic mint errors are extremely hard to find today. Most 1980 pennies have scratches, dull surfaces, plating bubbles, tiny spots or wear. But the rare ones, the flawless pieces that survive decades without any damage, those are the coins that make collectors' hearts beat faster. A perfect red example with razor-sharp details in Lincoln's face, bright luster, clean edges, and untouched fields becomes a treasure from a period of fast mass production, but the real excitement begins when we explore the mint errors and rare varieties that make some 1980 pennies surprisingly valuable. One of the most famous and frequently searched varieties is the broad strike error. This happens when the coin is struck without the collar ring that normally shapes the coin's rim. As a result, the coin spreads out, becoming wider and flatter, giving it a dramatic look. Collectors love broad strikes because they immediately catch the eye and show the raw power of the minting press. Another interesting error is the off-center strike. When the blank coin is not perfectly aligned between the dies, the design shifts off the center, leaving part of the coin blank. A light off-center strike can be interesting, but a major one, like 20 or 30% off-center, creates a striking visual effect that collectors compete to own. The more off-balance the design is, the more valuable the coin becomes. Repunched mint marks, also known as RPMs, also exist for the 1980 penny. Although mint marks were no longer hand-punched at this time, leftover dies and slight shifts during the punching process sometimes created subtle doubling of the mint mark. When collectors discover a clearly visible repunched D, it adds instant appeal to the coin. Struck-through errors add another layer of rarity. Sometimes a small piece of cloth, grease, metal shaving or other debris gets in the way during striking, leaving unusual marks on the coin. These struck-through errors can range from faint smudges to dramatic missing sections of detail. Each one is unique, making them highly collectible because no two pieces ever look the same. Clipped planchet errors also appear on 1980 pennies. These coins have a curved cut on the edge where the metal sheet overlapped during the punching process. The result looks like a bite mark taken out of the coin, and these dramatic shapes always attract collectors searching for oddities. Then there is the ultimate treasure, high-grade mint state examples certified by grading companies. Because 1980 pennies circulated heavily through pockets, shops and banks, finding one today in flawless red mint state 66 or 67 condition is extremely rare. The zinc core of these coins tends to corrode or bubble, which makes true high-grade survivors even harder to come by. When such a coin appears, it stands out sharply from the rest and often brings strong competition among collectors. The 1980 penny represents an era of change, fast production, and unpredictable minting results. This coin reminds collectors that even a modern-era penny can hold surprises and rare varieties worth studying. The thrill of searching through rolls, spotting minor details that others missed, and discovering a rare error is what makes coin collecting exciting. Every collector knows that sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest surprise. Now we arrive at the part that many viewers wait for, the real market value and auction records of rare and high-grade 1980 pennies. In today's market, top-graded mint state examples have sold for amounts reaching into the hundreds of dollars, while dramatic mint errors such as broad strikes, major off-center strikes, strong struck-through errors and clipped planchets have reached values ranging from hundreds to even thousands of dollars in auction results depending on the condition and rarity of the error. Coin number 5. The United States Lincoln Penny 1979 1-cent coin may look like a simple copper piece at first glance, but for serious coin lovers, this small penny carries a world of rarity, beauty, and hidden value. The more you study it, the more fascinating it becomes. So if you love coins, listen carefully and enjoy this journey from beginning to end, because every detail of this story can open your eyes to things you may never have noticed before. The year 1979 was a busy time for the U.S. Mint. America was moving through an era of economic pressure, rising costs, and rapid coin circulation. Because of this, the Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies that year. But even in a sea of billions, some coins stand out. Some were struck perfectly, shining bright with deep copper luster, and others came out with unusual imperfections. Those imperfections are what collectors treasure today. While most people pass these pennies through their hands without a second thought, collectors today search through them carefully, hoping to find the rare mistakes and varieties that make the 1979 penny truly valuable. The composition of this coin is 95% copper, and that is part of its charm. These older copper cents hold a richer, deeper color that modern zinc pennies simply can't match. When you find a 1979 penny in brilliant red condition, glowing like a new sunrise, you instantly feel the difference. These high-grade survivors stand out because most coins from this era circulated heavily and lost their shine long ago. So a fresh, clean, uncirculated example is already a rarity in itself, but the true excitement begins when we explore the mint errors and unusual varieties that elevate this penny into a special category. One of the most hunted errors for 1979 is the double-struck penny. When the coin fails to eject properly and receives a second strike at a different angle, the result is a dramatic, eye-catching look. Letters overlap, Lincoln's profile doubles, the memorial lines distort. These mistakes can turn a simple penny into a showpiece. Another error that collectors love is the off-center strike. When the planchet is not perfectly centered between the dies, the design shifts to one side and leaves a blank crescent area. Light off-center examples are interesting, but major off-center strikes, especially those showing the full date and complete Lincoln portrait, become truly valuable. Each one is unique, and the more dramatic the shift, the more collectors want it. Rotated die errors also appear on some 1979 pennies. When the obverse and reverse designs don't align properly, the coin shows a surprising twist when flipped. A slight rotation can be fun to see, but a large rotation becomes a rare treasure. Repunched mint marks, also known as RPM varieties, add another layer of detail, especially on 1979 pennies from Denver. Sometimes the D mint mark was punched more than once or slightly misplaced. Even a tiny shift in the mint mark can turn a normal penny into a collectible variety. Clipped planchet errors also make the 1979 penny exciting. These coins have a curved section missing from the edge because of an overlapping metal sheet during cutting. The result looks like the coin has a bite taken out of it. These unusual shapes are instantly recognizable and highly collectible. Struck-through errors are also found on this year. Sometimes a piece of cloth, a bit of grease, a loose fragment of metal or other debris gets trapped between the die and the planchet during striking. This leaves unusual marks, missing details, dents or strange patterns that make each coin completely one of a kind. And of course, no discussion of a rare penny is complete without talking about high-grade mint state examples. Because these coins circulated so heavily, most surviving pieces have scratches, wear, fading luster or environmental damage. But a true mint state 66 or 67 example is a treasure with glowing copper surfaces and razor-sharp details. These pieces stand out powerfully when placed next to a regular circulated penny. The 1979 penny is a reminder that even the most common coin can hold extraordinary surprises. Every collector knows that you never underestimate a penny, especially an older copper penny, because the tiniest difference can transform its value completely. This coin continues to excite collectors because it combines history, craftsmanship, and unpredictable mint-made errors that keep the hunt alive. And now we arrive at the most awaited part of the video, the real market value and auction prices for the rare 1979 1-cent coin. In the current collector market, high-grade mint state examples have sold for amounts reaching into the hundreds of dollars, while dramatic errors such as double strikes, major off-center strikes, strong struck-through varieties and clipped planchets have sold for prices reaching from hundreds to even thousands of dollars in major auctions depending on the condition and the intensity of the error. Coin number 6. The United States Lincoln Penny 1978 1-cent coin is one of those coins that quietly moves through everyday life, passing from hand to hand, sitting in pockets, slipping into drawers, hiding at the bottom of old jars, and yet inside this small copper-colored coin lives a story far more interesting than most people imagine. For collectors, the 1978 penny is not just another common cent, it is a treasure waiting to be discovered, especially when you know what to look for. So coin lovers, get ready, listen carefully, focus on every word, because this journey into the 1978 penny will pull you deeper into the world of rare errors, special varieties, and hidden value. The year 1978 was a busy year for the U.S. Mint. Billions of pennies were struck, but only a tiny percentage were born with unusual characteristics that today attract serious attention. These pennies were still made from 95% copper, and that alone makes them special. Copper coins age with personality, they turn darker, they develop warm tones, they change slowly over time. But the rare survivors that remain bright red, glowing like fresh copper, are the ones collectors chase the most. A brilliant uncirculated red penny from 1978 immediately stands out in a collector's hand, because most pieces from this year saw heavy circulation, but rarity goes far beyond color. When we talk about the 1978 penny, we enter the world of mint errors, mistakes made during production that turned ordinary cents into unexpected collectibles. One of the most exciting errors for 1978 is the off-center strike. Imagine a coin where Lincoln's portrait is pushed to one side, leaving a blank curved space on the other. Sometimes the shift is small, but sometimes the design is dramatically pushed off the coin. When the date remains visible, collectors get even more excited. Each off-center strike is unique, and dramatic errors become especially valuable. Another error that fascinates collectors is the broad strike. This happens when the coin is struck without the retaining collar, allowing the metal to spread outward. The shape becomes wider, the rim becomes unusual, and the penny takes on a strange, eye-catching look. A broad-struck 1978 penny is instantly recognized, and collectors love the bold, stretched appearance. We also have double-struck errors. These happen when a coin is struck once, fails to leave the die chamber, and receives a second strike. The results can be dramatic, shifted dates, doubled portraits, repeated lettering, or distorted designs. These pieces are extremely interesting to look at because they show the raw power of the minting press. Struck-through errors are another treasure. Sometimes a layer of grease, a piece of cloth, a metal shaving, or other debris gets trapped between the die and the planchet. This can remove details from the coin or create unusual shapes and textures. Each struck-through error is one of a kind and becomes a storytelling piece in a collection. Clipped planchet errors also appear on 1978 pennies. These coins show a curved piece missing from the edge, caused when the metal sheet was misfed. These clips can be small, or they can be dramatic. Larger clips are rare and highly collectible, especially when the rest of the coin remains sharply struck. Die cracks add even more personality to this coin. Over time, dies begin to wear and form cracks that show up on the coins as raised lines. These cracks can run across Lincoln's face, through the date, across the word Liberty, or even across the memorial building on the reverse. Every die crack is unique and gives the coin its own identity. Now let's talk about high-grade examples, because this is where rarity really shines. Most 1978 pennies have scratches, dull surfaces, or on Lincoln's cheek and jaw, fading luster, and dirt trapped in the letters. But the rare, untouched, brilliant red mint state coins are the ones that collectors dream about. These pieces glow, reflect light beautifully, and show sharp lines in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat. Finding one in mint state 66 or higher is extremely rare today. The 1978 penny is a coin that teaches collectors one important lesson: even the most common-looking coin can hide rare surprises. All it takes is one special error, one sharp strike, one unusual characteristic to turn a penny into a treasure. This is why collectors search through rolls, bags, and boxes with excitement. This is why people still check their pocket change. Because hidden among billions, there are always a few extraordinary coins waiting to be found, and now comes the moment everyone waits for: the real market value and auction results of rare 1978 1-cent coins. In the current collector market, high-grade mint state examples have sold for amounts reaching into the hundreds of dollars, while dramatic errors such as major off-center strikes, double struck pieces, broad strikes, clipped planchets and strong struck-through examples have sold for prices ranging from hundreds to even thousands of dollars depending on condition and rarity. Coin number 7. The United States Lincoln Penny 1975 D 1-cent coin is one of those coins that hides in plain sight. It looks simple, common, ordinary, but beneath that copper surface is a universe of details that collectors find deeply fascinating. If you are a coin lover, get ready to listen closely, because every second of this video will take you deeper into the hidden world of the 1975 D penny, a world of rare mistakes, special variations, and surprising value. The year 1975 was a time when the United States Mint was producing coins at a fast pace. The Denver Mint, responsible for the D Mint mark, struck an enormous number of pennies that year. But even in huge production, perfection is never guaranteed. Machines work fast, dies wear down, metal sheets shift slightly, and tiny errors begin to appear. For the average person, these imperfections are invisible. But for collectors, these small mistakes are the very thing that makes the 1975 D penny extraordinary. These pennies were made from 95% copper, giving them a warm, rich color that modern pennies simply don't have anymore. Copper ages beautifully. It darkens, deepens, and develops character. But the rarest pieces are the ones that remain bright red, glowing with original mint luster. Most 1975 D pennies spent decades circulating, rubbing against other coins, hitting the bottoms of pockets, rolling through cash registers, and losing their shine. So when a collector discovers a brilliant red mint state example, untouched and sharp, it immediately becomes something special. But rarity does not end with condition. The true excitement comes from the mint errors that occurred during production. These mint-made mistakes are what take a normal penny and turn it into a valuable collectible. One of the most dramatic errors collectors hunt for is the off-center strike. When the blank planchet doesn't land exactly in the center of the dies, the design gets pushed to one side, leaving a blank curved area on the coin. A minor off-center shift is interesting, but when you find a penny with a 20, 30, or even 40% off-center strike, especially if the date remains visible, that coin becomes a real treasure. Another error seen on 1975 D pennies is the die break or die crack. Over time, the dies that strike the coin start to wear and develop small cracks. These cracks transfer to the coins as raised lines. Sometimes the crack looks like a lightning bolt stretching across Lincoln's head, other times it runs across the memorial on the reverse. These cracks give each coin its own fingerprint, making them unique. Repunched mint marks, also known as RPM varieties, also appear on 1975 D pennies. While mint marks were still hand-punched in earlier decades, slight shifts during the punching process could create a doubled or repunched look in certain years. When collectors find a D that appears punched twice or slightly misaligned, they know they've found a desirable variety. Clipped planchet errors are another favorite among collectors. These errors occur when the metal sheet feeding into the blanking press overlaps or misaligns, causing the blank to be cut partially off the edge of the sheet. The result is a curved missing piece that looks like a bite taken out of the coin. Clipped planchet pennies are always eye-catching, and larger clips are especially rare. Struck-through errors also add excitement. These occur when something comes between the die and the planchet during striking. It could be grease, cloth fibers, metal fragments, or machinery debris. These foreign objects leave unusual impressions on the coin, missing details, strange shapes, or smooth patches where the design should be. Each struck-through error is completely unique. Double-struck pennies from this year are also extremely impressive. When a coin receives two hits from the dies, especially if the second strike is off-center, the result is a dramatic mix of overlapping designs. These double-struck coins are instantly recognizable and extremely collectible due to their rarity and visual impact, but perhaps the most underrated rarity of the 1975 D penny is the high-grade mint state survivor. Because these coins circulated heavily and copper is soft, finding a penny in mint state 66 or 67 grade is incredibly hard. Sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard, glowing red luster, clean fields, and strong strike definition make these high-grade coins stand out like jewels among ordinary circulated cents. Collectors love the 1975 D penny because it teaches one of the most important lessons in numismatics: even the smallest, most ordinary-looking coin can hold big surprises. A tiny misalignment, a dramatic error, a perfect strike, or a rare untouched surface can transform a penny into a valuable collectible. That thrill of possibility keeps coin collectors searching, hoping, discovering, and appreciating even the simplest coins. And now we reach the part everyone waits for: the real market value and auction results for rare and high-grade 1975 D pennies. In the collector market today, top-graded mint state examples have sold for amounts reaching into the hundreds of dollars, while dramatic mint errors such as double strikes, major off-center errors, large clipped planchets, bold die cracks, and strong struck-through varieties have reached prices ranging from hundreds to even thousands of dollars in major auctions depending on rarity and condition.